Sup guys, Mikey here for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council with Tech Tuesday, your guide for tech cards on a weekly basis. So, today I have a double edition for you guys featuring the two Fairy Tail cards, Fairy Tail Snow and Fairy Tail Sleeper. Now, what makes these two cards great, let's go over that right now. Let's just go straight into this. There's not really anything else to say. Besides the new Yu-Gi-Oh movie coming out, and me and Jonathan are going to see that in our respective regions, and we'll do a review on that. And any news that we see, any news about the next set or the upcoming list or anything relating to Yu-Gi-Oh, we will. That's immediately. Stock market tomorrow, by the way, and besides, go voting for what decks you want to see on Friday's live stream, as well as sending in your subscriber showcase replays. So that's about all I need to say there. And let's get into this. So why these two cards? Why should we even consider them? Well, first of all, Fairy Tail Snow was a card released not too long ago. I believe it was, I can't remember, Dark Illusions. And all the Fairy Tail cards are printed. So this was Dark Illusions, and this was Invasion Chaos. Invasion Vengeance. Sorry, wow. Yeah. So, as you guys know, Fairy Tail Snow is a card used in the Long Morning archetype deck, in which Snow can be used to banish 7 cards from your hand, field, and or graveyard to special summon Snow from the graveyard. And when it's normal or special summon, you basically Book of Moon a monster that your opponent has. So why should you tech this card? It's not just used in Long Morning. It can be used in anything that you have a graveyard, and that graveyard becomes useless once the cards are in there. So definitely some decks that can use it are Zodiacs, Black Wings to an extent, Metal Foes. Metal Foes do have level 4s. Last time I remember, Magic Specters, even Blue Eyes to an extent can use it. Make some cute little plays. Blue Eyes can use it. ABCs can definitely use it, because ABC, once they get rid of Union Hanger, or once they get rid of cards they don't need, Pot of Desires, Twin Twister, stuff like that. Just get rid of cards that you don't need back later in the duel. So definitely this card is a pickup. It's splashable in a lot of decks. It can make rank 4 spam. It can go synchro plays, and it's a spellcaster. It's a light level 4 spellcaster. So decently searchable. I think Magical Abductor can search for it. Unless Magical Abductor is for a Pendulum monster. I'm not entirely sure on that. I cannot remember off the top of my head right now. One of you guys can tell me that later. So it's definitely splashable in many, many decks. But again, it's not for every single deck. Like, you can't maybe even Heroes too. Heroes can definitely use it as well. Tree-toed Heroes make some rank 4 plays. But not all decks. Like Paleozoics, they don't need it. They don't have to use it. Paleozoics do their own shenanigans. Or just Frogs in general. Frogs can use it depending on the variant Frogs. Barrier Statues, maybe. Nah, I don't think Barrier Statues will use this. No, definitely not. But yeah, a lot of decks, it's a splashable card is the best way, I'm telling you, and I'm repeating myself by saying that. Downsides to this card, you need a graveyard. Obviously, you need a graveyard. You need to have cards that you don't really need, or that have been used and you can't get back. It is 1850. It can get floodgated. It is like any other monster. It is susceptible to traps, monster effects, and cards of the like. And overall, it has a pretty strong effect to Book of Moon a card. And as we discussed in yesterday's Cup Time, Book of Moon effects, like effects that act like Book of Moon, they're not really viable because the whole targeting is an issue now. Cards cannot be targeted, or targeting just won't work because you have some defenses to back that up. But overall, it's kind of like one of those things you don't expect, because even though Book of Moon is strong against certain decks, it's not strong against others. Fairy Tale Sweeper. This is the other card that we're going to talk about. I would talk about Fairy Tale Cinderella, but the effect may or may not be viable right now, because I would have to look more into it and research a little bit more about how it could affect other decks, other meta decks, other rogue decks, stuff like that. So, Fairy Tale Sweeper. Oh, another deck before I go into Sweeper is that Fluffles can use Fairy Tale Snow as well. For rank 4 plays, but unless you have the OTK variant, then obviously you would need it, but everyone has their own style and their own build. Fairy Tale Sweeper. Flip effect. You can special summon one monster from your hand. And the second effect. During either player's turn, when your opponent activates a normal spell or trap card, you contribute one other monster, and the activated effect becomes change one face-up monster your opponent controls face down. So it is another Book of Moon effect, but it's for yourself. So, and effects like this can get confusing, so I'm gonna explain it. It's kind of like Durandal, Artifact Durandal, where when your opponent activates a spell or when your opponent activates an effect, the effect changes to destroy your opponent's spell or reshuffle their hand. So it's basically working in your favor, because obviously, let's say they go for Quaking. You can use this, change Quaking's effect to Book of Moon, so your opponent's gonna force Book of Moon on either your Sweeper or whatever else monster you have on the board. Because the thing is, you don't want to Book of Moon this card, because the effect is special summon one monster from your hand. It could be any monster. It's not restricted, which is the strong part of this card. It's not a restriction. There's nothing against this first effect. Literally any monster from your hand is special summoned. Obviously, some cards with like this card cannot be special summoned effects. Obviously, they won't work. But stuff like, off the top of my head, God cards, which would be really funny to pull off. Raid Raptor cards, ABC cards, Fluffle cards, just any monster in general. You could even use this in a combo with Tree Toad, not Tree Toad, with Swap Frog and Ronin Toad. It's a frog combo maybe. Yeah, I may have to look into that. That could be fun. Anyway, idea for later. But that's what makes this card really strong. It can special summon one monster from your hand. So it can be used in a lot of decks. And I mean a lot. It'd be funny to see this used in Blue Eyes, because then you just summon a Blue Eyes straight from your hand, or a White Spirit Dragon, or summon a Sage, or, this card has a lot of uses. And the second effect is also strong, because when they go for a normal spell, but that's also the downside, which I'll talk about later. A normal spell, so Raigeki, Quaking, Floodgate, Metalful Counter, I believe. Yeah, Metalful Counter. I'm not sure what category Pendulum monsters count as, because the rules are still iffy at best on what category Pendulum monsters are considered. They are spell cards when they're placed in the Pendulum Zone, but I'm not sure if they're Pendulum. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they categorize as, but Sweeper will definitely not work against them. But actually, I'm not sure how that is, because let's say they go for Gold Driver's effect in the Pendulum scale. I'm not sure if you can use Sweeper. I would have to test that, and I'm not 100% sure. Someone could help me out on that, with the ruling on that, if you can use Sweeper versus Pendulum Zone effects. Pendulum Zone monster effects. Someone help me out on that, because I don't even know that. I'm not saying I'm a judge or anything, but I do know my rulings to an extent, and this is one of the ones that I don't know, because pendulums are something that's always sketchy when it comes to effects. So, besides that, so Raigeki, any normal trap, so basically you can use this to change the game state. If they try to Raigeki, you just use Sweeper. If they need to bait out, or if you want to bait out a Raigeki or bait out something that could hinder your field, Sweeper would be there, and it would change the effect to Book of Moon or Monster. And that's not so bad. Again, Book of Moon is a iffy situational card, or situational effect, mind you. So, it's pretty strong overall, but there are always downsides. So, this card has to be flipped face up, or just flipped in general, and it does have 1,000 defense, so it is pretty weak. So, unless you can protect it, it is a one-time special summon. Also, the fact that it has to be a normal spell or normal trap card. So if it could have been any spell or trap, I think it would have been too strong, because you could stop Twin Twister, you can stop the Metal Fusion, you can full Metal Fusion. Sorry, you can stop. Well, you can use this against all the Paleozoic traps, first of all. But you can stop stuff like Royal Decree, Macrocosmos, Vanity's Emptiness. It will be pretty stupid. The few weaknesses is that both Fairy Tail cards, Snow and Sweeper, have the same attack and defense. While being a strong 1850, it has a weak 1,000 defense. So, but with Snow, its graveyard effect makes up for its defense. So, where it's Sweeper, it doesn't really, not really. But this versus Snow, the thing that makes Sweeper great is that it's a flip. It's Spellcaster's flip effect. So it can be searched by cards that search out flip effect monsters, and I think there are some cards that do that. So this is a searchable card, more searchable than Fairy Tail Snow. But opposed to Fairy Tail Snow, you can also Foolish Burial Snow. You can do many things to get Snow in the graveyard. So they each have their individual advantages and disadvantages, but there are some things they share in common. They can be one-trick ponies if you don't have graveyard, if you don't have something to protect Sleeper. So that's all there is for now. I hope this wasn't a long video. I'll check the time. But make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about these two cards, how you think it can be used, how you think it can be utilized best. Overall, I think they're both pretty good cards. Lawn Mowing is something to look out for, though. Lawn Mowing will be a very high sought out deck. I'm not saying what tier it'll be, but it'll be very popular for a time. So Snow will definitely get some love when Lawn Mowing comes out, and Sweeper will get some action sometime. I can see that, but overall they have pretty good effects, and they can be splashed in almost anywhere. So with that said, I'm closing out this video, and that's all I can say. So I'll see you guys later. Peace. And tomorrow is stock market. Now I say peace.